According to Ericsson's mobility report, Sub-Saharan Africa, land of opportunity for telecoms. Frederick Yadling, who is head of Ericsson South Africa, joins us for more. Good morning, Frederick.
Good morning.
Big picture on mobility, cell phones, technology in Africa at the moment.
Sure. Now, we've seen worldwide over the last years the uptake of mobile data traffic in all the networks, and I would say that based on this report, we are likely to see, from a market perspective, a significant uptake. In very many ways, the user pattern, when you combine the mobility with the device and with the broadband, you get a very attractive proposition for consumers. So in many ways, what has happened in more developed markets is likely to happen at a rapid pace also in Africa in the future. Of course, there's going to be slight tonalities and differences because Africa is very diverse in nature, but we see the same pattern more or less replicating itself.
Frederick, I'd like us to touch on that a little bit further. We also have a graph where you indicate the growth in subscriber numbers. There we go, I nearly lost my teeth. But the growth in subscriber numbers, as you mentioned, we're expecting that growth.
Yes.
But how does that happen when we've got almost record highs of voice penetration growth from the mobile subscribers?
Now, what is likely to happen is the data part of the growth is likely to happen. And I think if we look at, we used to be, or we're currently around 560 million subscriptions in Sub-Saharan Africa now. That is likely to go up towards 930 million subscriptions in 2019. And a large part of that growth, 85% of those 930 million subscriptions, is likely to be data, a combination of what we call 3G and 4G. So there has been a voice revolution. And what we're looking forward to now is a substantial increase by these numbers in the data traffic as well.
But isn't it also going to be a new kind of territory here? Because people are going to go straight to a technology without going on the intermediate stage, which for the last 50, 60 years has been available for United States, Europe and so on. Correct.
No, that's a very good point. Here we tend to leapfrog technologies here. We bypass the fixed line piece and go directly, so to speak, into the mobile piece. And so that's likely to be replicated in this market in a similar way that's been done in India, where I was previously stationed.
You mentioned the drive in data growth, and I think e-commerce, which we were talking about a moment ago, is also linked to that. And in South Africa, we've really seen a surge in the introduction of mobile applications.
Yes.
Dave doesn't have a checkbook anymore. He uses a banking app.
I haven't had a checkbook for years.
But we've also found that recently I saw an app where you can book flights online, or rather by using the app. So that's also a change in the African market.
No, it's changing, and I think the market in Sub-Saharan, again, very diverse, so hard to generalize, but in general one can say that what has been historically voice, SMS, and possibly a bit of email market is now developing into a strong apps culture. And we see that on social networking apps. For example, the most downloaded application is banking.
Just to look at the graph we've got on the screen now, that's your voice projections from 2010 through to 2019.
Yes.
That's a steady increase, but there's another graph which has to do with data. And I think the rapid increase, look at it there, I think your number is twice twice growth in mobile voice traffic and 17 times growth. Look at that from 2010 to 2019.
No, and that's what we can observe. And I think if we look at the global reports we've released at the same time, mobile data growth is predicted to be 10 times. In Sub-Saharan, it's likely to be, as you were mentioning, 17 times, while voice is twice. So obviously we see the shift, and the first interaction with internet is likely to be on a mobile device for a lot of Africans. Now the key driver is not really, if I may say so, the technology that we are happy to provide and have provided here for 100 years. It's more along the pricing of the handset and the device end, because ultimately people need to be able to afford to utilize these services as well.
What about other businesses like banks? I mean, in Kenya, for example, banking and mobile telephony has been a huge synergy. So now there are businesses that are not in this telecoms business at all that need to watch this.
No, I think, there's opportunities for a lot of players in this space, and the value of mobility, broadband and the cloud, and what these networks will look like in the future, of course offers a huge amount of opportunities for operators and other industries like banking, like healthcare, and a lot of other industries. And I think with that, if you look at that growth, that is obviously the underlying, the 17 times growth, that there's more players coming in to utilizing the benefits of the mobility side.
Doesn't this also mean that telecommunications companies, in order to keep their turf, need to really increase their capex expenditure? Because we saw the move as well to the 3G technology. We had fixed line before that, and now there's a new revolution coming along, that's LTE or 4G.
I'm the first one to hope that would happen, of course, but that's purely an Ericsson perspective, of course. But I think all in all, it's driven ultimately by consumers and their uptake of the device side of and an attractive service environment around that. So it's not so much it will happen if the consumers find the benefits of the network and the services.
What about first mover advantage, as they call it? I mean, with such growth, if you've got something in place already in terms of distribution, marketing, because some of these brands are not well known in Africa yet, whereas they're very well known perhaps in the Far East or Europe or the United States. So there's a brand building exercise to be good. There's a presence on the ground.
No, sure, of course, both from the operators and our perspective, of course, and from our side, we are present across 45 countries in this region, and we built networks into the last sort of villages in many countries, in very difficult countries. So of course, we're looking forward to supporting that development, hopefully another 100 years.
Just looking at some of the local news from a South African perspective, we saw the cut in mobile termination rates. Does regulatory changes like that have a negative impact overall on the development of telecoms in the country?
I think there's a lot of factors that drive subscriber uptake, and I think primarily, as I was saying before, the handset, the device, the price of that ultimately is the first entry point. The richness of the service offering to that is important. I think in general one can say that the regulatory part, ourselves and the operators and anyone else in this ecosystem needs to collaborate to create a conducive growth.